Thank you for joining me in my informative speech on eating disorders. The reason I wanted to do this speech is because my friend, very close friend, who is to be my roommate, has a bulimic problem, and I wish to tell you and inform you about the causes and effects of bulimia. I think it is very important in society today to talk about eating disorders because of the way the media portrays younger women. Younger women look at magazine covers and try to be like the person on the magazine cover, very thin and very made up, lots of makeup, and they feel like they need to be accepted, or they need to do that to gain approval from other people, but we know that that's not how God works. One of the eating disorders I'm talking about today is anorexia. That person who has anorexia eats the minimal amount of food, and they need to make up for what they do eat, the very little amount that they do eat, by overly exercising, or they kind of switch to the bulimic thing, and then they purge themselves or use laxatives. And a source that I looked at said that if a woman is pregnant and has this disorder, her baby's health and development will be affected. The next one is bulimia, the one to be focused on today. And that is any person who eats an overly large amount of food, more so than a normal person, and then in a very short amount of time, and they compensate for that food by purging or using laxatives. And obviously the purging makes up for the binging. And most people with bulimia have borderline personality disorders. And these are symptoms of bulimia. Obviously the one, like I said before, is eating large amounts of food in short periods of time. And you can see that they exercise a lot more than normal people after eating a lot of food. And they feel weak, depressed, which kind of ties in with the emotional part of the problem. They vomit. They have swollen cheeks from the repeated vomiting. And also scratches and scars on the back of their fingers and hands from the forced going down your throat. And they also have, women have menstrual problems through it. And what are the causes and what leads up to it? Now, the pictures obviously represent like what they are doing to their bodies, constantly overeating. McDonald's does not help, and yes, that is, the outside world is kind of not helping with the food choices that they give, because it's faster and cheaper to go to, McDonald's. Another thing that causes bulimia is image and what society says you should be, and obviously they say that thin is important. Oh, and I found an awesome quote from one girl in my source she was previously bulimic. It says, "I wanted to look like the fashion models. I didn't realize that was impossible for me. I have big bones. There's no way I could change that. I could never get down to a size 5. I don't know why I thought I could. Guess I was brainwashed in a way. I don't buy fashion magazines anymore." And that kind of totally proves my point about how society does have a very strong impact on how women view themselves. Other causes. It runs in the family. There's a family history of mood disorders, low self-esteem, no respect for oneself. A person's fears and needs may lead him or her to misuse food, also the pressure to fit in. And here are some effects of bulimia. One of my sources says that it affects every single organ and every single cell in your body, and I did not know that. Rupture of the esophagus, weakened resistance to illness and disease, dental problems, obviously from the repeated vomiting, increased risk of heart disease, hair growth on face, back, and arms, and disturbed sleeping patterns. And here's a few facts that I took from a couple sources. The strain of vomiting sometimes causes broken blood vessels in and around the eyes. It can also cause the saliva glands to swell. The acid from vomiting also wears away tooth enamel, paving the way for cavities to develop. Gums also may become diseased, and bruised knuckles and fingers from the forced aspect of it. Purging causes the body to lose vitamins and minerals that are essential to good health. Laxatives can permanently change the function of the intestines. And those are all, physical effects and how it affects the body. And I found a few mental effects of how bulimia can also affect you. Feeling out of control and helpless, anxiety, fearing that someone will hear you doing it and ask you why you're doing it, having obsessive thoughts, needing to control or suppress emotions, and the guilt and shame part after eating that much and then purging. And one common question is if bulimia can be treated, and the answer is yes, but how? One of my sources says cognitive behavioral therapy, and another says that drug treatment would be best for some, but it really depends on the person and how severe their case is and when they go in for help and when they realize they need help. And different therapies work for different people and what stage they are at. And self-image is a struggle for everyone. The image that the community portrays continues to play a large role. And the reason I wanted to share all this information with you is, like I said before, my friend Alyssa struggled with bulimia, and I'm glad that she could, talk to me about it, and I wanted to tell you all of the effects and the causes of bulimia. Thank you for listening.